The 1970s were a wild, bold, and boundary-pushing decade for cinema, a golden era that brought us some of the most groundbreaking, unforgettable films of all time. From gritty urban dramas and chilling horror to epic adventures and heartfelt tales of human resilience, this list celebrates the finest movies from the 70s. These aren't just films, they're cultural icons that changed cinema forever, with unforgettable performances, jaw-dropping cinematography, and groundbreaking storytelling. Before we dive into these all-time greats, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to stay tuned for even more deep dives into the greatest movies of every decade. Don't go anywhere. You'll want to see which film claims the top spot and maybe even discover a gem or two you haven't seen yet. When The Godfather was released, it didn't just introduce audiences to one of the most influential films ever made, it redefined cinema. Director Francis Ford Coppola crafted a Shakespearean story of crime, family loyalty, and power struggles within the Corleone crime family. Marlon Brando as Don Vito Corleone brings an enigmatic, almost tender quality to a character who would do anything to protect his family's interests. Al Pacino's Michael Corleone, the youngest son, reluctantly steps into the criminal underworld to become a powerful force in his own right, leaving audiences torn between horror and admiration for his transformation. The movie scenes are iconic. The horrifying discovery of a severed horse head in a bed as a warning, Michael's tense restaurant encounter, and the grand finale where multiple family enemies are assassinated while Michael attends a baptism. The atmosphere, with its dark, rich cinematography, is enhanced by Nino Rota's haunting score, creating an operatic portrait of violence and family that leaves a lasting impression. The Godfather doesn't just tell a story. It immerses you in a world where loyalty and betrayal are as intertwined as the family ties that hold it together. When Star Wars hit theaters, no one could have anticipated the cultural phenomenon it would become. George Lucas's epic space opera introduced audiences to the adventure of a lifetime, complete with thrilling battles, memorable heroes, and a struggle between good and evil. The film follows young Luke Skywalker, who rises from a humble farm boy to a daring rebel hero on a mission to overthrow the tyrannical empire led by Darth Vader. Special effects in Star Wars set a new benchmark, especially in the thrilling scenes of space battles and the infamous Death Star trench run, where X-Wings dart through enemy fire in a pulse-pounding sequence. Its characters, from Princess Leia's rebellious grit to Han Solo's roguish charm, have become cultural icons, while the mystique surrounding the Force adds a unique spiritual dimension to the adventure. Star Wars is a timeless film that continues to captivate new generations of fans. Jack Nicholson's unforgettable portrayal of Randall McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest takes viewers on a wild ride through the mental institution where he is confined, transforming a seemingly bleak setting into a battleground for rebellion, individuality, and sanity. McMurphy's clashes with the iron-willed nurse Ratched, portrayed with chilling control by Louise Fletcher, form the core of the film. Ratched's authority over the patients symbolizes the dehumanizing systems that stifle free spirits, and McMurphy's arrival sparks hope and resistance. The bond he builds with fellow patients, including the towering Chief Bromden, gives rise to both hilarity and heartbreak, creating a bittersweet portrait of camaraderie. With humor, empathy, and scenes that shift from uplifting to tragic, the film paints a powerful portrait of how fragile freedom and individuality can be. It's a movie that transcends its setting, speaking to the desire for freedom within all of us. Before Jaws, summer blockbusters weren't really a thing. But Steven Spielberg's story of a great white shark terrorizing a small beach town changed all that, turning every splash of water into a reason to check your pulse. The film follows Chief Brody, Roy Scheider, who, along with marine biologist Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss, and salty shark hunter Quint, Robert Shaw, embarks on a high-stakes hunt for the deadly predator. Spielberg's use of suspense, often concealing the shark to heighten tension, combined with John Williams' iconic, anxiety-inducing score, makes for a heart-pounding experience that still delivers thrills today. Quint's chilling monologue about his time on the USS Indianapolis remains one of cinema's most unsettling moments, and the climactic battle with the shark is a tour de force of suspenseful filmmaking. Spielberg transforms a simple shark story into an exploration of survival and courage that had people thinking twice before stepping into the ocean for years. Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver is a dark, unfiltered look into the mind of Travis Bickle, a Vietnam veteran haunted by loneliness and disillusionment in the grimy streets of New York. Played with unnerving intensity by Robert De Niro, Bickle becomes a vigilante of sorts, fixating on cleaning up the city's scum as he spirals into obsession and madness. His interactions with a teenage prostitute named Iris, Jodie Foster, and his dangerous infatuation with political campaign worker Betsy, Sybil Shepherd, underscore his inability to connect with people in a normal way. From his memorable "You Talkin' to Me" monologue to his self-imposed transformation into an armed, paranoid Avenger, De Niro captures the alienation and inner turmoil that drive Bickle toward his violent conclusion. Scorsese's direction, combined with Bernard Herrmann's moody score, transforms Taxi Driver into a brooding masterpiece about loneliness, violence, and urban decay, leaving a lasting impact on audiences and filmmakers alike. Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange is both disturbing and strangely hypnotic, diving into a dystopian world where violence and psychological manipulation are tools of control. Malcolm McDowell's Alex, with his unsettling smile and taste for ultraviolence, leads his gang of droogs on a spree of mayhem. But after being arrested, Alex becomes part of a state experiment that aims to rehabilitate him by stripping him of his free will. Kubrick's visual style is mesmerizing, from the stark white of Alex's prison cell to the dizzying, color-saturated sequences of his crimes. The film's exploration of morality, freedom, and the ethics of forced rehabilitation is both thought-provoking and unsettling, made all the more powerful by its surreal imagery and haunting use of classical music. A Clockwork Orange is not for the faint of heart, but its audacity and artistic flair make it a landmark in cinematic history. Sylvester Stallone's Rocky isn't just a boxing film, it's a deeply personal story of resilience, hope, and triumph against the odds. Stallone wrote and starred in the film, portraying Rocky Balboa, an underdog boxer from Philadelphia who gets an unlikely shot at the heavyweight title. His training scenes, from punching raw meat in a freezer to sprinting up the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, have become iconic. The film's heart, however, lies in Rocky's relationships, especially with Adrian, whose quiet strength balances his rough edges. It's a movie filled with grit and heart, capturing the determination it takes to go after a dream, even when the odds are stacked against you. The final fight scene is a masterclass in suspense, leaving audiences on the edge of their seats as Rocky goes toe-to-toe with the champion, Apollo Creed, in a match that feels as personal as it is physical. Apocalypse Now is not only a war movie, it's a surreal, nightmarish journey into the human psyche. Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation of Heart of Darkness sets the action during the Vietnam War, following Captain Willard, Martin Sheen, as he's sent on a mission to terminate the rogue Colonel Kurtz, Marlon Brando, who has descended into madness. The film's infamous Ride of the Valkyries helicopter assault, where soldiers blare Wagner's music as they descend on a Vietnamese village, is as visually stunning as it is terrifying. Brando's portrayal of Kurtz, a man undone by the horrors of war, adds a philosophical depth that raises questions about morality, civilization, and madness. Coppola's use of dark, atmospheric cinematography immerses viewers in a world where the line between right and wrong blurs, leaving a haunting impression that lingers long after the credits roll. Chinatown takes the classic noir formula and turns it into something much darker and more complex. Set in the seedy underbelly of 1930s Los Angeles, Roman Polanski's film follows private detective Jake Geets, Jack Nicholson, as he uncovers layers of corruption, betrayal, and family secrets. Geets is drawn into a conspiracy involving water rights and land deals, led by the sinister tycoon Noah Cross, John Huston, whose involvement turns out to be far more personal and chilling than expected. Nicholson's performance, combined with Faye Dunaway's tragic Evelyn Mulray, gives the film a slow-burning tension that culminates in one of the most shocking and heartbreaking endings in film history. Polanski's direction, with its moody cinematography and masterful pacing, makes Chinatown a noir classic that digs deeper into the darkness of human nature than most films dare to go. The Exorcist isn't just a horror movie, it's a psychological, spiritual, and visual experience that leaves audiences shaken. The story centers on young Regan, who becomes possessed by a demonic force, leading her mother, Ellen Burstyn, to enlist the help of two priests, Father Marin, Max von Sydow, and Father Karras, Jason Miller, in a desperate exorcism. William Friedkin's direction pulls no punches, making even the quiet scenes feel laden with dread. The special effects are legendary, from Reagan's 360-degree head rotation to the infamous pea soup vomit. all designed to shock and horrify. But the film's true horror lies in its exploration of faith, doubt, and the age-old battle between good and evil. Every scene is crafted to unsettle, and with moments that had audiences fainting in theaters, The Exorcist stands as a pinnacle of horror that has influenced generations of filmmakers. Each of these films represents the very best that the 1970s had to offer, with stories and characters that continue to captivate audiences decades later. If you've seen them all, you know how powerful they are. If not, make a movie night out of discovering what makes each of them a masterpiece. Did your favorite 70s movie make the cut? If we missed any you think should have been included, drop a comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more top 10s and cinematic deep dives.